Good evening. A Newsnight investigation has discovered that a supposed bomb detector produced by a British company and sold for use in Iraq simply does not work. Following our revelations, the government is to ban their export to Iraq and Afghanistan. The Iraqi government has spent $85 million on the devices, which have been widely used, and there are concerns that the detectors have failed to stop bomb attacks that have killed hundreds of people. There are some disturbing images in Caroline Hawley's exclusive report.
The advert is dramatic, the claims it makes even more so. The ADE 651 has a wand meant to point out explosives with the help of a special programmed card. And all powered by no more than the operator's static electricity. So-called bomb detectors similar to this one are being sold around the world, and Iraq has bought thousands of the ADE 651. But experts say they simply do not work. The Iraqi government has spent millions of pounds on them. At what price, then, for the Iraqi people? Three times in the past few months, Baghdad has been hit by coordinated waves of bombings. This was last October. In December, over 120 people were killed. And Iraqis have been asking how so many bombs could have passed through the city's security to devastating effect. Well, the ADE 651 is in use at most checkpoints in Baghdad, each one costing around $40,000. In all, the Iraqi government has spent $85 million on them. This man's having his damaged house repaired after a bomb attack last year, and his daughter and son-in-law are still being treated for injuries.
If that device was effective, if it was working properly, then none of this would have happened.
It's the first time that a car bomb has been used here to such deadly effect. Today's bomb is not just a terrible human tragedy. It's by far the most serious attack there's been since US troops took Baghdad. I spent 3 years reporting from Baghdad, and I've seen far too many times what a bomb can do, how it takes and wrecks lives. It worries me that a British firm might be selling a bomb detector that doesn't work to a country where lives literally depend on it. It worries others too.
This type of equipment does not work, and I wouldn't mind betting that lives have been lost in consequence.
I think it is completely immoral for any company to sell a piece of equipment which could put people's lives in danger.
I'm particularly annoyed by this because it looks like a situation where someone is exploiting the insecurities of a nation which is in dire straits.
This is the man who's made millions selling the ADE 651. Jim McCormick runs a security company called ATSC. We came to try to find him at his office in Somerset, but he's proved difficult to pin down. We wanted to ask Jim McCormick how he could justify selling these so-called bomb detectors that independent experts say can't possibly work. Back in November, he did agree to talk to local BBC correspondent Clinton Rogers, but only on condition his face was not shown. And he made some extraordinary claims for his device.
In ideal conditions, you can be up to 1 kilometre away.
A kilometre?
A kilometre.
Right, so this card will help this device spot explosives a kilometre away.
Under ideal conditions, correct.
Jim McCormick says the device works on a similar principle to dowsing, the mysterious belief that you can find water underground, like this.
So is this exactly the same as dowsing then?
The principle behind dowsing is not too dissimilar, because dowsing actually works on the basis of the body containing...
So you're dowsing for explosives?
Theoretically.
And it works?
And it works.
Mr. Jim, هو صاحب الشركة ATSC.
Jim McCormick may be hiding from the cameras here in the UK, but he did appear at a press conference in Baghdad after last month's bombs, filmed by Iraqi television. He and this Iraqi security chief were trying to persuade local journalists that the detectors worked. The grenade the device is meant to detect is placed in full view of the operator. No surprise, it points at its target. It would be comic if the consequences weren't potentially so tragic. We brought the footage to show to Professor Bruce Hood, who's alarmed that people are being convinced by the device.
This looks like the dowsing effect, looks like a dowsing rod.
According to Hood, even an unconscious movement of the wrist can cause the wand to swing.
All you would need is something like a pen. Take the middle out, and here you go, a bit of coat hanger will do exactly the same thing. Just slot it in there, and then it swivels. I'm going to try and keep it steady, and I'm going to walk over here. I've got pretty good...
Let's suppose the grenade's here.
Okay. So if I walk forward... Well, it's because my attention is directed towards you where this supposed grenade is, and that's why you have the effect. And it really does look as if it's controlled by an external force.
Bruce Hood is a cognitive scientist who studies how children and adults can be persuaded to believe the unbelievable.
And as you saw in the demonstration, it's very convincing. It looks as if the rod is being controlled by some force and is moving to detect something. So I think if people don't really know about this effect, then it looks entirely plausible.
Since the mid-1990s, a succession of dowsing-type detectors like the ADE 651 have come onto the market. In 1995, the FBI tested a device called the Quadro Tracker. It warned,
"The Quadro Tracker is a fraud. All agencies should immediately cease using the device."
Another warning about modern dowsers followed in 1999.
"Warning, do not buy bogus explosives detection equipment."
In 2002, a test by Sandia National Labs in the US found that a similar device, the mole detector, didn't work and performed
no better than a random selection process.
We turn to Sidney Alford, who reconstructs terrorist attacks and who gives advice to military agencies. He's one of the country's leading experts on explosives, and he's acquired a dowsing-type device to show us. So let's take it apart and see what's inside it.
Okay.
Difficult to open.
Not intended to be opened, I suspect.
So there's nothing in there that could detect a bomb that could possibly work.
Speaking as a professional, I would say that was an empty plastic case.
And yet these things sell for tens of thousands of pounds. So what about the ADE 651 itself? Sidney Alford told us he was horrified it was being exported from the UK.
It's not only immoral, but I will be surprised if there is not some legal mechanism or governmental mechanism to prevent it.
Jim McCormack claims that the cards that go into the card reader are the key to how the device works, and that different cards can detect anything from explosives to dollar bills and even elephants.
This is tuned to a channel. This is tuned to a frequency, and when that's inserted into the card reader, is now looking for that frequency band.
We managed to obtain a set of Mr. McCormack's special cards.
The secret of the device is supposedly these cards, which are somehow programmed to detect the explosives you're looking for. This one says in Arabic, TNT. Remember that Jim McCormack says this is the key to the detector. So we wanted to find out if there's anything inside the card that could allow it to identify TNT. We've come to the Cambridge Computer Laboratory to find out.
Dr. Marcus Kuhn is going to analyse it for us.
Okay, so this looks like a plastic card which may have some electronics inside, and what we're going to do is to take apart the card, delaminate it, cut through it and see what's inside.
It's a delicate process, every stage painstakingly done. Dr. Kuhn's trying to extract the circuit inside. Finally, he has it.
There's nothing to program in these cards. There is no memory, there is no microcontroller, there is no way any form of software or other information can be stored.
Impossible.
Completely impossible. These are shop theft prevention cards. These are the cheapest bit of electronics that you can get that look vaguely electronic and are sufficiently flat to fit inside a card. This is just plastic and aluminium.
It couldn't be programmed then to detect TNT?
Absolutely not.
We bought this in Curry's. It has a security label on the back. Is that all you're saying this is then?
As you can see, it's pretty much the same construction. Both of these devices are designed to be easily detectable at the shop door if you decide to run away with it without paying.
We wanted to challenge Jim McCormack with our evidence, so we've come to his Somerset home.
Well, there are lights on in the house and signs of life, but it is now abundantly clear that Mr. McCormack does not want to talk to us.
But he's clearly done well for himself. A newly extended farmhouse, a Porsche Cayenne in the driveway. It's a world away from the troubles of Baghdad.